All right, let's stay with us and speak to Willem Els, security analyst and senior training coordinator at the Institute for Security Studies. Willem, good evening to you and thank you so much for your time. I suppose then the big question right now is going to have to be whether or not the minister's order was in fact direction or policy, and if at all it did impact and on operations, as we've now heard from the National Police Commissioner, the Provincial Commissioner of KwaZulu-Natal, as well as the latest witness.
Good evening to you. Yes, indeed. I think today was the first day where they actually provided a legal opinion about the questions that have been around for the whole week of last week as well. We saw that General Mkonazi made that accusation or that statement, and then also yesterday, the National Commissioner himself, or the day before yesterday, the National Commissioner himself made that. So this is the first time where the Commissioner could actually tap into the legal opinion that actually guided them. And I think General van Rooyen was pretty pertinent. She was clear on those points, and she provided some light. Of course, it's early days, and when the minister come and the other side is coming to present their case, they might most probably also bring their legal opinion and their legal representative. But as we stand now, she was very adamant that they acted within the law and that the minister was not always acting within the law.
And speaking about legal opinion, right, it's also going to be important, particularly when you look at the Constitution and the powers that it does give the minister to then be clarified, particularly when you look at Section 205 and 206, you can see that there are some areas there that if interpreted incorrectly could lead to all kinds of problems.
Exactly, and I think the Commission is not a court of law, so it will come up with recommendations, and we anticipate that because this is such a pressing issue and a challenge, they might come up with some recommendations on the way forward, where they will provide some guidance and recommendations on how to address that issue.
And should the committee, also, in fact, the Commission also, in your view, seek to maybe get an understanding from the Portfolio Committee on policing on their handling of the matter, especially when the KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Commissioner first made these allegations in March? Because when you listen to the latest witness, Van Rooyen, right, she does say that in her view, this was a failure for them because they didn't act on their mandate.
Yeah, in her testimony, she mentioned that he was there, he presented them with a challenge, and she would have thought that within 2 weeks or so, that's the words that she used, that they should have acted on that and made some move towards gathering some more information or taking it into some direction, and according to her, it did not happen. So the Commission, of course, can now summon them, or they can decide that they would like to come and present to the Commission. So it is early days, as I mentioned, and that is a really a contentious point that I think should be answered before the Commission can move forward.
And I wonder for you, because you've been, looking at this over time, particularly even with different departments, not only policing. What about this space makes it so rife to blur the lines? Because when you listen to Van Rooyen, for example, she does talk about how over the years it's really been something that the SAPS's management has been trying to put into place to say, this is how far the powers of the minister goes, and then this is how far the powers of the executive of the police actually go. So what about this is making it so difficult to actually have a clear-cut position on who does what?
Yeah, I think that was addressed within the first few minutes in a testimony, when they focused on a policy, what is a policy, and also what is a directive, and what is the difference between a directive and an instruction. And I think that is where the Constitution is not very clear on that, and it leaves it open for interpretation. Hence, we think that that would also be one of the recommendations of the Commission to look into that and to provide some clarification on this. Ask for clarification. That can only happen if they amend, of course, the Constitution, which is not always feasible. But it can also be referred to up to the Concord, where they can make a judgment.
And as you say, of course, the constitutional mandate and the constitutional power also becoming quite important. But I suppose then as well, one could say that when you are also looking at some of what we've had to hear in the first couple of days, including up to now, is that the reporting lines are also quite important, because when you hear now of allegations of someone a little junior to the National Police Commissioner, who is supposed to be reporting to the National Police Commissioner, then saying they're carrying out a directive by the minister, it raises some hierarchical, I suppose, some questions there.
Yeah, you see, it's governed by what was called standing orders discipline. And standing orders discipline in the police is very precise. It is not open for interpretation. It is very straightforward. So if you have a subordinate who willfully disobey an instruction, or especially a legal instruction, from his superior and his or her superior, and they do not act on it, they fail to do that, of course, that is a career-ending move from them. They will be tried in an internal process, a tribunal, and then normally the outcome of that is dismissal from the police.
Yeah, as a final question then for you, you know, when you listen to everything, I know you and I often say that this is still early days. We are still going to be hearing from more witnesses, but, you know, what kind of questions does it raise as far as security is concerned, given some of what we are hearing, especially with allegations around cartels and how they were to be protected?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, we tend to see over the past few days that definitely two camps within the top management of police. We see that the one camp is the preservatives, the one that would really want to preserve law and order and to want to do the right thing. And then we also see, it seems, the other camp is open to being indoctrinated, but also it seems that that camp might have been tainted by the influence of your criminal networks. And that will all come out in the news release that will be here. And also maybe even the Commission might refer some of those testimony for criminal investigation while the Commission is still ongoing.
Willem, appreciate your time as always. Let's see who the next witness is and get a sense then of how the evidence will tie in with what we've heard so far. That's Willem Els, security analyst and senior training coordinator at the Institute for Security Studies.